President Donald Trump is so mad at Speaker of the House Mike Johnson that he may just invade Panama. What does one thing have to do with the other? I'll get to that in just a minute. But yesterday on Truth Social, President Donald Trump posted this: the United States has a vested interest in the secure, efficient, and reliable operation of the Panama Canal, and that was always understood. We would and will never let it fall into the wrong hands. It was not given for the benefit of others, but merely as a token of cooperation with us and Panama. If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to us in full and without question. President Trump is so fired up about the Panama Canal and the ridiculous fees that they're charging us to use it after we built it and gave it to them basically as the best Christmas present ever, that he reiterated it at a TPUSA event in Phoenix.
The Panama Canal is considered a vital national asset for the United States of America, due to its critical role, American economy, the whole world economy, and also national security. The Panama Canal. Has anyone ever heard of the Panama Canal? Because we're being ripped off at the Panama Canal like we're being ripped off everywhere else.
By the way, is anyone else shocked and appalled at how few people actually applauded when President Donald Trump asked them if they'd heard of the Panama Canal?
Has anyone ever heard of the Panama Canal?
This was a TPUSA event, and I know it's mostly college kids, but I mean, the Panama Canal, that's something you learn about in high school these days? You know, just before what are your pronouns and who your teacher likes to sleep with. Anywho, Donald Trump says, look, we're getting ripped off just like we are everywhere else. Canada's ripping us off with trade, so we're going to install a 25% tariff. Oh yeah, we're also going to get rid of the prime minister and replace him with somebody more United States friendly. Mexico's ripping us off, and they're allowing illegal immigrants to just pour over the border, so we're going to throw a big tariff on them as well. Wouldn't you know it, all of a sudden, border enforcement in Mexico isn't that difficult anymore. They would rather enforce the border and turn these illegals back from whence they came instead of having to pay a lot of money to import stuff to the United States of America. And now the Panama Canal, something we built, something we gave to Panama, they're now charging us exorbitant fees, and Donald Trump isn't having any.
He just said take it back. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. In fact, exactly what Donald Trump wants to do.
A secure Panama Canal is crucial for U.S. commerce and rapid deployment of the Navy from the Atlantic all the way to the Pacific. It's an incredible thing, and drastically cut shipping times down to U.S. ports by days and even weeks. The United States is the #1 user of the Panama Canal, with over 72% of all transits heading to or from U.S. ports. Think of that. So we built it. We're the ones that use it. They gave it away.
Let me pause for a brief, very entertaining history of the Panama Canal. This was originally a French project in the 1800s. The French decided we should have a canal through Panama so we can take the ship from here to there. Very simple. So the French got a big swath of land in Panama, started digging, and soon realized they had no clue what they were doing. People were dying, there were mudslides, nothing was happening, so they abandoned the project. And then Teddy Roosevelt looked at the French project and said, we could do that. We're Americans. We know how to dig stuff. We could create an engineering marvel that would cut the travel time between the Atlantic and the Pacific down to days instead of weeks or months. No problemo. So Roosevelt stroked a check, gave it to France, got the land. Then he had to negotiate with Colombia because at the time, Colombia owned Panama, but they never got around to signing the treaty. So Teddy Roosevelt basically went to the rebels in Panama and said, hey, you guys should mount a rebellion, become your own country, and then let us build this canal with all this land we just bought from France. In fact, we'll send some Navy ships down here to do it. So he helped Panama become its own country so that they could build the canal, which they did for $375 million.
Jimmy Carter foolishly gave it away for $1.
That statement is actually inaccurate, and I hate to fact check President Donald Trump, but not only did we not sell them back the canal for $1, we gave them back the canal for free and then gave them hundreds of millions of dollars on top of everything. This is a government publication about the canal and the treaty that handed over power to Panama. Listen to this. To promote Panama's economic development, the U.S. contribution will be stepped up through a program of loans, loan guarantees, and credits totaling approximately $295 million. Because of the Buy American provisions, this economic cooperation package will bring substantial benefits to the U.S. Not only that, in addition, To assist Panama to develop a capability for canal defense, the United States will make available military credits totaling $50 million over a 10-year period. So we built this canal for $375 million. We ran it without a problem for almost 100 years. And then Jimmy Carter decided, because there were some skirmishes and some complaints in Panama and they wanted to hang their flag over it, because of all that, he was going to give it back to them. And on top of that, gave them an additional $300 million in loans. And oh yes, $50 million to build a military. And then 12 years later in 1989, we had to invade Panama and their army that they built with money we gave them and remove Manuel Noriega because, well, he wasn't a very nice person. That's why Donald Trump wants the canal back, because it never should have been given away in the first place to a country like Panama, who is now ripping us off.
If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question. I'm not going to stand for it.
Now, this is a really interesting take on foreign policy, and this is something that the rest of the world maybe isn't even prepared for. Keep in mind, President Donald Trump is coming in with a mandate from the American people, the majority of the Electoral College vote. He's got the majority of the popular vote. He's turned more of this country red than any Republican president since Ronald Reagan. And now Donald Trump is saying, I want the Panama Canal. I want you to cut these fees. I want you to give us the best deal ever, or we're just going to take this thing back. It was ours. We gave it to you. We don't like what you're doing with it, and try to stop us. There are three big reasons why President Donald Trump is shining a light on this conflict right now. Number one is the fees are exorbitant. Right now, it costs us $5.25 for every ton that passes through the Panama Canal, which means that the first 10,000 tons of a cargo ship, which is a very small cargo ship, would cost $52,000 just to pass through the Panama Canal. Ridiculous. Again, since we bought it, we paid for it, we built it, and we gifted it to them. Now, in order to have our ships pass through, we got to pay them $52,000? Donald Trump ain't standing for that. Also, China has started to flank the canal with ports that they've bought and built and now run and maintain on either side of the canal. Donald Trump said the United States of America did not give this canal so it could fall into the hands of foreign adversaries, let alone somebody like China. So he wants to stop it dead in its tracks. And then the third reason, I believe, is because Donald Trump has a lot of displaced anger against Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. Here's my theory. Donald Trump has a lot of displaced anger against Mike Johnson because Mike Johnson totally screwed up the spending bill last week. He had to deliver a bill to the Democrats that benefited them and took out the one thing Donald Trump wanted, which was the removal or the restriction of the debt ceiling for another 2 years. He didn't want to be ladled with this debt ceiling when he's trying to cut taxes and make America great again. After all, the Democrats didn't have it. Why should he? Mike Johnson totally failed. And Donald Trump, we imagine, was fuming. And I say we imagine because he never mentioned anything about it. We were all sitting there waiting patiently for Donald Trump to go on Truth Social or make some kind of video statement or show up on television, call in to Fox and Friends, do whatever it is he typically does to just lay into Mike Johnson and the House Republicans, to just light him up, to talk about how we need new leadership in the House of Representatives. But it never came. That anger never showed its face. Instead, 2 days later, Donald Trump started to talk about how mad he was at Panama. I think Panama is bearing the brunt for what happened with Mike Johnson and the House Republicans. It's kind of like that scene in It's a Wonderful Life where George Bailey's furious at Uncle Billy for losing the $8,000 at the bank when he left it in Mr. Potter's newspaper. And then later on, he goes home and yells and screams at his wife and kids. But in this Christmas story, Donald Trump is George Bailey, Mike Johnson is Uncle Billy, and Panama is, well, Donna Reed and the kids. If you found anything in this video even remotely entertaining and informative, do both of us a favor. Hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell, because we're going to keep bringing you great content like this every single day, and you're only going to know about it if you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Do it now.